My name is Sarah Mitchell, and I'm 28 years old. 3 years ago, my parents sold my restored 1967 Mustang, my late grandfather's final gift to me, to fund my sister's MBA. They called me selfish for being upset. They said art was a hobby, not a career. They had no idea that while they were dismissing my little drawings, I'd just signed the biggest contract of my life. What happened at my sister's graduation changed everything. They thought they were supporting the successful daughter. They discovered too late which daughter actually held the power. Before I share how a family betrayal became the most expensive mistake my parents ever made, please take a moment to like and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy this story. I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time it is in your corner of the world. Drop a comment below. Now let me take you back to where it all began. Not with the car being sold, but with the moment I realized I'd never be enough for them. Growing up as the eldest daughter in the Mitchell family meant watching my younger sister Jessica get everything she pointed at. While I worked 3 jobs to pay for art school, Jessica's business degree was fully funded. A real investment in the future, as Dad liked to say. Sarah's creative, Mom would tell her friends at church, that particular tone that meant, bless her heart, she tries. But Jessica, now she's practical. She understands how the world works. The Mustang was different. It was mine. Grandpa Joe left it to me specifically in his will. Not to the family, not to be shared, to me. He'd seen my sketches, encouraged my art, when everyone else called it doodling. "You've got the eye, kiddo," he'd say, letting me help him restore that beautiful machine in his garage. 3 summers we worked on it together before cancer took him. "That car is worth at least $30,000 now," Dad mentioned one night at dinner about a year ago. Sitting in our garage, collecting dust while Sarah lives in her tiny apartment in Brooklyn. "It's not about the money," I said quietly. Jessica laughed. "Everything's about money, Sarah. That's why you're broke, and I'm getting my MBA. "I'm not broke." The words came out sharper than intended. Mom patted my hand. "Of course not, sweetie. You're managing. But imagine what you could do with $30,000. Pay off those student loans." "The car stays," I said firmly. "It's all I have left of Grandpa." Dad shook his head. "Sentimental nonsense. Joe would want you to be practical." They didn't know about the contract I'd signed that morning, the one that would change everything. My little design company had just landed a Fortune 500 client, but I'd learned long ago not to share good news with my family. They had a way of making every achievement feel small. "Can we please just drop it?" I asked. "Sure," Dad said, but I caught the look he exchanged with Mom, the same look they'd shared when they'd sold my childhood piano to buy Jessica's first car, when they'd skipped my college graduation to attend Jessica's high school science fair. I should have known then what they were planning. The text came while I was in Seattle, finalizing designs for Microsoft's new campaign. "We need to talk. Call me. Mom." My stomach dropped. Mom never texted unless something was wrong. I called immediately. "Is everyone okay?" "Everyone's fine, sweetie." That pause, that terrible pause that meant bad news was coming. "Your father and I made a decision about the car." "What decision?" My voice was steady, but my hand wasn't. "Jessica's MBA program at Wharton. The final payment is due. We're short $25,000. "No." "Sarah, be reasonable." "You sold it." It wasn't a question. The silence confirmed everything. "You sold my car, the one thing Grandpa left me." "It's just a car, Sarah. Jessica's education is more important than some old—" I hung up. My phone exploded with texts. "Dad, don't be dramatic." "Mom, we did what was best for the family." "Jessica, thanks for finally contributing something useful." Contributing? I'd been invisible to them for years, and now they'd erased the last proof that someone in our family had actually seen me. Marcus Chen, my business partner, found me crying in the conference room. "The Mitchell deal?" he asked, concerned. "Did they pull out?" "No, it's—" I showed him the texts. His expression darkened. "The Mustang? The one you spent 3 years restoring?" I nodded, unable to speak. "How much did they get for it?" "25,000. Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. 25? Sarah, that car in its current condition is worth at least 60. Your parents got robbed. It doesn't matter. It's gone. When's Jessica's graduation? 3 weeks. Why? Marcus smiled, but it wasn't kind. Because I think it's time your family learned exactly who they've been dismissing all these years. That contract you signed, the expansion into Europe. Sarah, you're about to be worth more than your parents' entire neighborhood. I don't care about rubbing it in their faces. No, Marcus agreed. But maybe it's time they understood that success doesn't always look like an MBA. Sometimes it looks like the artist they ignored. I stared at the texts again. Jessica's emoji still mocking me. Book me a flight home for graduation, I said quietly. And Marcus? Set up that meeting with the university chancellor. I think it's time to make that donation we discussed. The house looked exactly the same. Mom's petunias, Dad's perfectly edged lawn, my childhood home, where I'd never quite belonged. I didn't knock. Still had my key. They were in the kitchen, all 3 of them, celebrating with champagne. My champagne, I realized. The bottle I'd sent Mom for her birthday. Sarah! Mom nearly dropped her glass. We didn't expect... Where's my car? Sold, Dad said simply. 3 days ago. To who? Does it matter? Jessica stood, designer dress pristine. It's done. That was mine. Technically, it was in Dad's name. Jessica smirked. For insurance purposes, remember? My hands clenched. Grandpa left it to me. Verbally, Dad said. Nothing legal. You knew what it meant to me. Meant? Mom's voice pitched high. Sarah, you visit it twice a year. Because I live in New York. Because I'm building something. Building what? Dad laughed. Pictures? Logos? A company. Right. Jessica rolled her eyes. Your company of 2 people in a shared workspace. 3 people, I corrected. We just hired our 20th employee. Silence. Whatever, Jessica recovered. The point is, the money's already wired to Wharton. It's done. Fine. They all stared. Fine, Mom echoed. You made your choice. You chose Jessica, like always. That's not, Dad started. June 15th, I interrupted. Jessica's graduation. You're coming? Mom brightened. Wouldn't miss it. Jessica narrowed her eyes. Why? To celebrate, of course, your big achievement, your moment. Sarah. Mom reached for me. I stepped back. I have a flight to catch. You just got here. I came for my car. It's gone. We're done. Don't be so dramatic, Dad called as I headed for the door. I turned. See you at graduation. All of you. Front row, right? Of course, Mom said proudly. We'll be right there. Perfect, I smiled. So will I. Back in New York, I sat in Marcus's office while he reviewed the contracts. The university donation is confirmed, he said. $5 million for the new business school wing. Make it specifically for the arts and entrepreneurship program. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Not pure business? No, for students who don't fit the traditional mold. Like you? Like me. I signed where he indicated. And the announcement? Chancellor Williams wants to do it at graduation. Says it's the perfect venue, major donors, press coverage, the works. Jessica's graduation. Poetic justice? Marcus grinned. Just truth. I paused. Did you set up the other meeting? Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Richard Brennan from the Collectors Society. Richard Brennan, the man who'd bought my Mustang. Marcus had tracked him down in 12 hours. He doesn't know why I want to meet? Just that you're interested in his recent acquisition. My phone buzzed. Email from Chancellor Williams. Dear Ms. Mitchell, we're honored to have you as our keynote speaker. Keynote speaker at Jessica's graduation. You didn't, I looked at Marcus. I mentioned your company's success, your innovative approach to design, your journey from art student to CEO. He shrugged. The Chancellor insisted. My parents don't know about any of this. About your success? Sarah, you were featured in Forbes last month. They don't read Forbes. They read the local paper and Jessica's Facebook updates. Well, Marcus pulled up another document. They're about to get an education. The contract was from Steinberg Industries, the expansion deal, $40 million valuation. When does this go public? June 15th. Graduation day. Coincidence, Marcus said innocently. I thought about the champagne they'd been drinking. My champagne, celebrating selling my inheritance. Marcus, I need one more favor. Name it. That scholarship fund we discussed, make it specifically for students whose families don't believe in their dreams. The Sarah Mitchell Foundation? No, I said firmly. The Joseph Mitchell Memorial Fund. After my grandfather, the only one who believed. 2 weeks before graduation, I met Richard Brennan at a Manhattan coffee shop. He was younger than expected, maybe 40, with kind eyes. Ms. Mitchell, he stood immediately. I have to say, I'm surprised by your call. You bought a 1967 Mustang recently, candy apple red, from Robert Mitchell. His face changed. You're his daughter, the one who restored it. How did you? Your father mentioned it. Said you'd moved on, didn't need it anymore. My chest tightened. He said that? Look, Ms. Mitchell, Sarah, I collect cars, but I'm not in the business of taking someone's inheritance. It's yours now. You paid for it. I paid $25,000, Richard said quietly. We both know it's worth more than double that. Your father was desperate, and I took advantage. He told you he was desperate? Said his daughter needed the money for school, that you'd asked them to sell it. The lie hurt more than the sale. I didn't ask. I didn't even know. Richard pulled out his phone, showed me photos. My Mustang gleaming in his garage. You did incredible work. Every detail perfect. This was a labor of love. 3 years of weekends. I'll sell it back to you. Same price I paid. No? He blinked. No? I want to make a different deal. I pulled out my tablet, showed him the proposal. I'm establishing a vintage car museum. Educational programs for kids who can't afford shop class. I want the Mustang to be the centerpiece. You're donating it? It was never about owning it. It was about what it represented. My grandfather teaching me that patience and skill matter more than quick success. Richard studied the proposal. This is a $20 million project. Yes. You have that kind of money? I do now. He laughed, surprised. Your father said you were struggling, said you were too proud to admit your art career failed. My father says a lot of things. I stood. Think about it. The museum opens next year, with or without the Mustang, but it belongs there. Richard stood too. I'll do it, but I want to be involved. This kind of program, it matters. We shook hands. Will you be at the Wharton graduation? He asked suddenly. Why? I'm on the board. We're announcing some changes to the scholarship program. My smile was genuine for the first time in weeks. I wouldn't miss it. The morning of graduation, I stood backstage at Wharton's Annenberg Center, watching the seats fill. The Mitchell family had claimed their spots, front row center, just as Mom had promised. She wore her best dress, the one she saved for special occasions. Dad kept checking his phone, probably tracking stocks. Jessica was with her classmates, rehearsing her valedictorian speech. Nervous? Chancellor Williams appeared beside me. No. Ready. Your parents don't know? They're about to. Through the curtain gap, I watched them. Mom was telling the couple beside her about Jessica's achievements. I caught fragments. Top of her class, multiple job offers, always knew she'd make something of herself. Unlike your other daughter? The woman asked politely. Mom's laugh carried. Sarah's an artist, sweet girl but not practical, still finding herself at 28. Finding myself, I murmured. Marcus texted. Forbes article just went live. Check your email. The headline, Mitchell Designs valued at $40 million after European expansion. 5 minutes, the stage manager called. I watched Dad point out Jessica to someone. That's our daughter, the one in the honors cords. You must be so proud. We invested everything in her education, Dad said. Even sold some family assets, worth it for her future. Family assets. That's what my inheritance had become. The lights dimmed. Chancellor Williams took the stage. Welcome, families and graduates. Before we begin, I want to announce something extraordinary. This year's keynote speaker is not just a successful entrepreneur, but also our newest major donor. Her $5 million gift will establish the Joseph Mitchell Center for Arts and Entrepreneurship. Murmuring from the crowd. I saw Dad stiffen at Grandpa's name. She built her company from nothing, revolutionized design thinking in tech, and at 28, runs one of the fastest-growing creative firms in the country. Please welcome Sarah Mitchell. The spotlight hit me as I walked on stage. The silence was perfect. Mom's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Dad dropped his phone. Jessica, in her graduation gown, stood frozen with her classmates. I approached the podium, calm, collected, made eye contact with my parents. Good afternoon. I'm Sarah Mitchell. Some of you know me as the impractical daughter who chose art over business. Today, I want to talk about different kinds of investments. Wow, can you imagine the look on their faces? I still get chills remembering that moment. If you've ever been underestimated by your own family, type vindication in the comments. I see you, and your success is coming. Quick pause here. If this story is hitting home, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're just getting to the best part, where 3 years of dismissal turns into one unforgettable moment of truth. Back to that stage, where my parents were about to learn exactly what their impractical daughter had been building while they were selling her dreams. 3 years ago, I continued, my voice steady through the microphone, my grandfather died and left me his 1967 Mustang. It wasn't valuable then, just a broken car and a grieving granddaughter's project. Every weekend, I restored it. Every paycheck went into parts. People said I was wasting my time. I looked directly at my parents. Some said I should be practical, sell it, invest in something real. Mom had gone pale. But restoration taught me patience, detail, the value of doing something right, even if nobody sees it. Those lessons built my company. While I was playing with pictures, as my father calls it, I was actually designing interfaces for 3 Fortune 500 companies. While my sister studied business theory, I was practicing it. Jessica's face was stone. 2 weeks ago, my parents sold that Mustang without my knowledge. They needed money for my sister's tuition. They didn't ask. They knew I'd say no. They just took the one thing my grandfather left me and sold it for less than half its value. Gasps from the audience. Phone cameras appeared. But here's what they didn't know. I clicked the remote. The screen behind me lit up with the Forbes article. My company was just valued at $40 million. The auditorium erupted in whispers. They also didn't know that I've been the anonymous donor funding Wharton's scholarship program for underprivileged students, the same program my sister applied to and was rejected from. Jessica's mouth fell open. Today, I'm announcing the Joseph Mitchell Center, named for my grandfather, who believed in me when no one else did. It will support students whose families don't understand their dreams, students who are told they're impractical, students who restore cars, paint pictures, write code, or build dreams that don't fit in neat boxes. Dad stood up, sat down, stood again. Because success isn't always an MBA. Sometimes it's the artist you ignored. Chancellor Williams returned to the podium as I stepped aside. The tension in the auditorium was electric. Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. Now, before we present diplomas, Mr. Richard Brennan from our board has an announcement. Richard walked on stage, nodding to me. My parents were frozen in their seats. The board has reviewed our scholarship allocations, Richard began. Due to a significant discrepancy in Jessica Mitchell's financial aid application, we're revoking her merit scholarship. Jessica shot up from her seat. What? Why? Your family claimed financial hardship while selling a valuable asset for your tuition. That's double dipping, Ms. Mitchell. But my parents submitted the forms, Richard continued. The $25,000 from the car sale should have been reported. That's fraud. Mom grabbed Dad's arm. Their perfect daughter, their golden child, was being called out for fraud at her own graduation. Furthermore, Richard said, that car was sold under false pretenses. The seller claimed the owner had agreed to the sale. She hadn't. He looked at me, then back at the audience. The Mustang will be donated to the new Mitchell Center, where it belongs. As for the scholarship money that needs to be returned, Ms. Jessica Mitchell, you have 30 days. Jessica sank into her chair. I returned to the microphone. I want to be clear. I'm not punishing my sister. She earned her degree, but she needs to learn what I learned, how to earn her success without taking from others. "Sarah," Dad called out from the audience, "this is cruel." "No," I said calmly. Cruel was selling my inheritance while I was gone. Cruel was celebrating with my champagne. Cruel was 28 years of being told I wasn't enough. The audience was riveted. Phones recorded everything. This is just truth and consequences. I have one more announcement, I said, feeling the weight of 500 pairs of eyes. Mom, Dad, would you please stand? They didn't move. Please, I repeated, softer this time. Slowly, shakily, they stood. Mom clutched her purse like a shield. Dad's jaw was clenched so tight I could see it from the stage. Robert and Linda Mitchell, I said formally. For years, you've told everyone about your successful daughter, your investment, your pride and joy. Jessica was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. You were half right. You do have a successful daughter. You just picked the wrong one. Sarah, please, Mom's voice cracked, carrying across the silent auditorium. 3 months ago, you both came to me. You wanted to invest in a sure thing, a real estate development in Jersey. You needed a partner with capital, someone with $50,000 to match your 50. Dad's face went white. He knew where this was going. I told you I'd think about it. You said I probably couldn't afford it anyway, that maybe when I grew up and got a real job, we could be partners. I clicked the remote. A photo appeared, the development site. That development broke ground yesterday without you, because while you were stealing my car to pay for Jessica's degree, I was buying the entire property. Solo. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The projected return is $3 million. That could have been yours, but you chose to steal from me instead of believing in me. We didn't steal, Dad started. You sold my property without permission. That's theft. Ask any of these business students. Nervous laughter from Jessica's classmates. But here's the thing, I continued. I'm not like you. I don't punish family for sport, so I'm making you an offer. They waited, frozen. Apologize, publicly, right now. Admit what you did was wrong. Admit you've treated me as less than my entire life. Do that, and I'll give you one more chance to invest, not in real estate, in family, in treating both your daughters equally. The auditorium held its breath. Dad's pride warred with his greed. I could see it on his face. Mom looked between him and me, calculating. We're sorry, Mom finally whispered. Louder. We're sorry, she repeated, voice breaking. We sold your car. We shouldn't have. And? Dad struggled. We haven't been fair to you. We treated Jessica better, Mom admitted. We were wrong. Jessica stood suddenly. I'm sorry too, Sarah. I knew it was wrong. I pushed them to do it. The first honest thing she'd said in years. Apology accepted, I said simply, but trust is earned and respect is non-negotiable going forward. Now, I said, turning back to the audience, let me tell you about second chances. The screen behind me changed to a photo of Grandpa Joe and 8-year-old me, covered in grease, grinning beside the Mustang's engine. My grandfather was a mechanic, never went to college. My parents were embarrassed by him, the working-class father who got his hands dirty. But he taught me that anything broken can be fixed if you're patient enough. I saw Mom flinch at the truth. So here's what's going to happen. Jessica, you'll graduate today. You've earned that. But the scholarship money has to be returned. I'll give you a loan, interest-free, with one condition. Jessica looked up, mascara streaking her cheeks. You work for it. Real work. Not an MBA job, something that teaches you what building something actually means. Richard Brennan has an apprenticeship program at his restoration shop. You start Monday. But I don't know anything about cars. Neither did I. You'll learn. Richard nodded from his seat on stage. 6 months, minimum wage plus commission on sales. You prove yourself, we'll discuss your future. As for my parents, I continued, the investment opportunity is still open. But not as silent partners. You'll work too. The development includes affordable housing for artists and creators. You'll manage it. You'll learn who these impractical people really are. Dad opened his mouth to protest, then closed it. The alternative was nothing. One more thing. I clicked the remote again. The screen showed a legal document. This is a contract. It states that you will never again make financial decisions about my assets, my life, or my future without my explicit written consent. You'll sign it before you leave today, or we're done. Permanently. The crowd was mesmerized. This wasn't just a graduation. It was a reckoning. Chancellor Williams stepped forward. I think this is a perfect example of what we teach here at Wharton, that actions have consequences and integrity matters more than profit. He turned to the graduates. Let this be your final lesson. Success isn't just about what you achieve. It's about how you achieve it. The parents in the audience were whispering, some nodding, others looking uncomfortable. They were seeing themselves in my parents, wondering if they'd made similar mistakes. "Sarah," Jessica called out, "why help us at all? After everything?" I looked at my family, broken, humbled, but still mine. Because Grandpa Joe believed in fixing things, not throwing them away. Even when they disappoint you, even when they hurt you, you try to fix them first. But if they refuse to be fixed, I added, looking directly at my parents, then you walk away and build something better. The auditorium erupted in applause, not the polite kind, real, thunderous approval. My parents sat down heavily, the weight of 28 years of mistakes finally visible on their faces. Chancellor Williams returned to the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been in education for 30 years. I've never witnessed a more powerful lesson in accountability. He gestured to me. Ms. Mitchell, would you do us the honor of presenting your sister with her diploma? The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Jessica walked across the stage, each step heavy with humiliation and newfound humility. When she reached me, we stood face to face for the first time as equals, both flawed, both learning. Your diploma, I said, handing her the leather folder. You earned the degree. Now earn the success that should come with it. She took it with shaking hands. Sarah, Monday, 8 a.m., I cut her off. Richard's shop. Don't be late. As she walked off stage, Marcus appeared from the wings, handing me a folder. One more piece of business, I announced. Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell, please come to the stage. They climbed the steps like they were walking to their execution. The entire auditorium watched in fascinated silence. Your contracts, I said, handing them the folder. Sign them now, or leave and never contact me again. Dad read through it, his engineer's mind parsing every clause. This gives you complete control. The same control you took from me when you sold my car, except I'm using lawyers, not lies. This is vindictive, Mom whispered. No, vindictive would be suing you for theft and fraud. This is generous. Marcus stepped forward with a pen. They signed. What choice did they have? Their perfect daughter was exposed as a fraud beneficiary, their dismissed daughter held all the cards, and 500 witnesses had seen everything. Congratulations, I said as they handed back the contracts. You've just made your first honest deal with me. The Forbes article was being shared in real time. I could see it spreading across phones in the audience. My company name trending, the Mitchell family scandal going viral. But I wasn't done. Richard, I called out, about the Mustang. He stood. Yes? I want to add a plaque when it goes in the museum. It should read, Restored by Sarah Mitchell and Joe Mitchell. Some things are worth more than money. Consider it done. I turned back to my parents, still standing awkwardly on stage. You can sit down now. Enjoy watching Jessica graduate. It cost you more than you know." As my parents returned to their seats, Marcus joined me at the podium with his tablet. "Before we continue with the ceremony," I said, "I want to make something crystal clear." "Mr. Chen?" Marcus connected his tablet to the screen. The Fortune 500 contract appeared, with the valuation clearly visible. $40 million, I said slowly, letting it sink in. "That's what my little pictures are worth." "Dad, you're an engineer. You appreciate numbers. That's more than you'll make in 10 lifetimes." Dad slumped in his seat. "Mom, you're a teacher. You taught everyone except your own daughter. So let me educate you now. Every time you introduced Jessica as your successful daughter while calling me creative in that pitying tone, I was signing contracts worth more than this entire building." The audience was captivated. This wasn't just drama. It was a masterclass in delayed gratification. "But here's the real kicker," Marcus said, taking the mic. "Sarah could have destroyed you. The car was legally hers. Grandpa Joe's will, while informal, had witnesses. She could have pressed charges. Instead, she's offering you jobs. Do you understand the gift she's giving you?" "It's not a gift," I corrected. "It's a test. They failed as parents. Let's see if they can succeed as people." Chancellor Williams approached. "Ms. Mitchell, the board has one more announcement." A new slide appeared, an architectural rendering of a beautiful building. "The Mitchell Center will include a restoration workshop where students can learn hands-on skills. The centerpiece will be a 1967 Mustang, donated by Richard Brennan but restored by Sarah Mitchell. It will remind every student that sometimes the things others call worthless become priceless with enough care." Jessica was sobbing now. Not the pretty tears of earlier, ugly, genuine remorse. "I'm so sorry," she called out. "Sarah, I'm so fucking sorry." The profanity echoed in the formal space. Real. Raw. "I know," I said simply. "That's why you get a second chance. 1. Use it well." The ceremony continued, but the energy had shifted. Every diploma handed out felt different now, weighted with the understanding that success could be redefined, that family could be wrong, that the dismissed could rise. As the graduates filed past, several stopped to shake my hand. One whispered, "My parents don't believe in my startup either." "Then prove them wrong," I whispered back. Quietly, completely. Then choose whether they deserve to know. The ceremony concluded with traditional pomp, but the atmosphere was electric. As families gathered for photos, I stood apart, watching my parents struggle through forced smiles with Jessica. Marcus appeared beside me. "The video's already viral, 3 million views and climbing." "What video?" He showed me his phone. Someone had live-streamed the entire confrontation. The comments were pouring in. "Best graduation ever." The sister got destroyed. This is what accountability looks like. "Let it spread," I said. "Maybe other families will think twice before dismissing their impractical children." Richard Brennan approached with an elderly woman. "Sarah, this is Dorothy Chen, the original owner of your Mustang before your grandfather bought it." Dorothy's eyes were bright with tears. "Joe would be so proud. He talked about you constantly at the shop. Said you had the gift." "What gift?" "Seeing potential where others see junk. That's why he left you the car, dear. Not as an inheritance, as a test. You passed." She handed me an envelope, yellowed with age, my name in Grandpa's handwriting. "He gave me this before he died, said to give it to you when you were ready. I think that's now." I opened it with trembling fingers. "Sweet Sarah, if you're reading this, you've learned the lesson. It was never about the car. It was about knowing your worth when everyone else doubts it. The Mustang was rusty when I got it, just like you were unsure when you started drawing. But I saw what it could become, what you could become. Your parents mean well, but they see with their fears, not their hopes. Don't hate them for it, but don't let them limit you either. Build something beautiful, kiddo. Then decide who deserves to see it. Love, Grandpa Joe." I couldn't speak. Dorothy patted my hand. "He also left you this." She pulled out a key. To his storage unit. He said you'd know when to open it. My parents approached hesitantly. Mom's makeup was ruined. Dad looked 10 years older. Sarah, Mom started. Can we talk? Really talk? Monday, I said, pocketing the letter and key. After Jessica's first day at work. After you've signed the property management contracts. After you've had time to think about what kind of relationship you want going forward. That's fair, Dad said quietly, the engineer in him appreciating clear terms. Hold up, are you team forgive or team boundaries? Because what happens next will determine everything. Drop a comment below with your choice. I'm curious if you'd have given them another chance or walked away forever. If this story of standing up to family expectations resonates with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear that their dreams are valid, even if their family doesn't see it yet. Hit that subscribe button if you want to hear how this all played out. Now let me tell you about what was in that storage unit. 3 days later, I stood in front of Grandpa Joe's storage unit with Marcus and Richard. The lock was stiff, unused for 3 years. Inside was another Mustang. Not just any Mustang, a 1967 Shelby GT500, pristine, perfect, worth $500,000, easy. Holy shit, Marcus breathed. A note was taped to the steering wheel. Sarah, this one's for you to keep. The other was to teach you. This one's to remind you, some things aren't for sale. Not for family, not for money, not for anyone. Love, Grandpa. Richard whistled low. He knew. Joe knew exactly what would happen. What do you mean? He talked about your parents sometimes, said they loved their children but couldn't see past their own fears. He predicted they'd try to take the regular Mustang, so he hid this one. He let them steal from me? He let you learn who they really were and who you really are. My phone rang. Jessica. Sarah? I'm at the shop. Richard has me cataloging parts. My hands are already black. Good. That won't wash off for weeks. I know. Sarah, I found something in the system. Dad sold the Mustang for $25,000, but Richard paid $60,000. Dad kept the difference. Silence stretched between us. He stole from both of us, she continued. Used my education as an excuse to pocket $35,000. Are you surprised? No, not anymore. Sarah, I want to earn this, really earn it. Not because you're forcing me, because I want to know what it feels like to build something real. Then show up tomorrow, and the day after, and keep showing up until your hands are as calloused as your ego was soft. I will. I promise. I hung up and looked at the Shelby. Grandpa had played a long game, teaching lessons from beyond the grave. What will you do with it? Richard asked. Drive it, love it, never sell it. I ran my hand along the hood. And when I have kids, teach them what Grandpa taught me, that some things are worth more than money, but you have to be worth more than your circumstances first. Marcus pulled up the Forbes article again. The comments section was exploding with similar stories. Dismissed daughters, overlooked sons, dreams devalued by the very people who should champion them. You started something, he said. No, I corrected. I finished it. Monday arrived with unusual clarity. I sat in my Manhattan office, watching the security feed from Richard's shop. Jessica arrived at 7:45 a.m., 15 minutes early. She wore jeans and a t-shirt, probably the first time she'd dressed for actual work instead of appearances. At 9 a.m., my parents arrived at the property development site in Jersey. The foreman called me immediately. Ms. Mitchell, they're here. They seem different. Different how? Humble. Your mom asked where the cleaning supplies were. Your dad's reviewing the maintenance schedules. No complaints, no demands. Keep me posted. By noon, 3 things had happened. 1, the graduation video hit 10 million views. 2, 12 major companies reached out about design contracts. 3, a letter arrived from my parents' lawyer. I opened it, expecting threats. Instead, it was a deed transfer. They were signing their house over to me. Marcus read it over my shoulder. They're giving you their house. The attached note was in Mom's handwriting. Sarah, We bought this house with money that should have been yours. Your college fund we spent on Jessica, your art contest winnings we borrowed, your grandfather's bonds we cashed. We can't undo that, but we can start making it right. The house is yours. We'll rent it from you if you'll let us. Market rate. We're not asking for forgiveness, we're acknowledging debt. Mom. I stared at the papers. This wasn't what I'd expected. My phone buzzed. A photo from Jessica, her hands covered in grease, holding a restored carburetor. The caption, "Richard says I have potential. First time anyone said that about something I actually did, not something I might do." Then a text from Dad. "The tenants here are incredible. And sculptor, 2 musicians, a programmer. They're all like you were, brilliant but dismissed. I'm starting to understand what we missed." Marcus looked at me. "They're actually trying." "Seems like it." "So what now? You have everything. The company, the money, the vindication. What's left?" I thought about Grandpa's letter, about building something beautiful and deciding who deserved to see it. Now we see if they can earn their way back. Not to where we were, that relationship is dead, but maybe to something new, something honest. And if they can't, then at least we all know where we stand. No pretense, no lies, no theft disguised as love. I signed the house papers, accepting their first real apology. Not words, but actions. 6 months passed. The viral graduation video had changed everything, but not how I'd expected. Jessica had transformed. Her Instagram went from champagne brunches to restoration progress photos. Her hands stayed permanently stained with motor oil. She'd sold her designer bags to buy her own tools. Richard called her his most dedicated apprentice. "She's got it," he told me over coffee. "The patience, the eye for detail. She's actually gifted at this." Who would have thought the MBA student would find herself under a car hood? She found herself being useful for the first time. That changes people. My parents had become model property managers. Dad's engineering background made him excellent at maintenance. Mom started an after-school program for the tenants' kids, teaching art appreciation, something she'd never done for me. The Forbes article had led to $60 million in new contracts. Mitchell Designs now employed 200 people, all creative misfits who'd been told their dreams weren't practical. But the real change came from the thousands of emails I received. Stories of family betrayal, of dreams dismissed, of inheritance stolen. I'd accidentally become the poster child for professional revenge. That's when I decided to write the book. Restored, When Family Fails You, Build Your Own Success. The publisher wanted drama, dirt, family secrets exposed. I gave them something else. A guide to setting boundaries, building worth, and choosing when to offer second chances. The book tour started at Wharton. Full circle. My family attended. They sat in the middle row, not front, not back. They'd learned their place. During the Q&A, someone asked, "Do you forgive them?" I looked at my parents, at Jessica. They waited, not expecting anything. Forgiveness isn't binary. I forgive the people they're becoming. I can't forgive who they were. That's their burden to carry. But you gave them jobs, opportunities. I gave them consequences with room for growth. There's a difference between punishment and accountability. Jessica raised her hand. First time she'd ever asked permission to speak in my presence. "Yes?" "I want to add something," she said, standing. "I was the golden child, the favorite, the one who got everything, and it made me worthless. Sarah's punishment was the first time anyone expected me to earn something. It saved me from becoming the kind of person who peaks at graduation." The audience applauded. Mom wiped her eyes. Dad nodded slowly. After the event, we stood in the parking lot where it all started, where they'd once dismissed my dreams. "The house sold," Dad said quietly. "The buyers close next month." I'd put their house on the market after they'd signed it over to me. They'd been renting month to month, knowing this day would come. "Where will you go?" "We found a small apartment near the development, 2 bedrooms, simple." "Good." Mom pulled out an envelope. "This is for you." Inside was a check for $35,000. "The difference from the Mustang," she explained. "We've been saving every penny to pay it back. It's not enough, but it's a start," I said, pocketing it. "This goes to the museum fund." Jessica stepped forward. "I have something too." She handed me keys, Mustang keys. "Richard helped me track down another 67. It's not Grandpa's, but it's the same model, same color. I've been restoring it myself, for you." I stared at the keys. "Jessica, it's not an apology. It's an acknowledgement of what we took, what I let them take, what I encouraged them to take." We walked to the parking lot where a candy apple red Mustang sat gleaming under the lights. Not perfect. Jessica's amateur restoration showed in places, but honest work. "I'm keeping the Shelby," I said, "but this is something. It's yours, free and clear. The title's in your name only." I ran my hand along the hood, feeling the imperfections, the trying, the effort to make things right. "You know what Grandpa would say?" I asked. They waited. "He'd say the car doesn't matter. It's what you learned fixing it." Jessica laughed, short and sharp. "I learned that I've been useless my entire life, that everything I had was stolen from you, that my MBA means nothing compared to these." She held up her scarred, permanently stained hands. "Now you're learning," I said. We stood there, 4 people who'd been family, broken apart, and were slowly becoming something else. Not what we were. That was gone forever. But maybe something more honest. "The company's going public next year," I announced. "Estimated valuation, $200 million. They stared. "I'm setting aside shares for both of you. Not gifts. You'll buy them with sweat equity. Dad, you'll manage our new facilities. Mom, you'll run our education program. Jessica, you'll head our restoration division." "Why?" Mom asked. "Because Grandpa believed in fixing things, even difficult things, even things that hurt you. But only if they're worth fixing," Dad added, understanding. "Exactly." 1 year after the graduation, we held the grand opening of the Joseph Mitchell Center. The building was perfect. Glass and steel wrapped around the original brick of an old garage. Modern success built on traditional foundations. The centerpiece was Grandpa's original Mustang, returned by Richard and restored one more time by Jessica. She'd spent 3 months getting every detail perfect, using the photos from my original restoration as reference. The plaque read, "Some things are worth more than money. Some lessons cost more than tuition. This car taught both." My parents attended as employees, not family. They wore Mitchell Designs badges, not VIP passes. They'd earned their place through work, not blood. During my speech, I said something that would later become the center's motto. "We don't inherit success from our ancestors. We inherit the ability to build it ourselves." The Forbes journalist who'd broken my story asked for a final quote. "Ms. Mitchell, your family betrayed you, stole from you, dismissed you, yet you gave them second chances. Why? Because the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. I could have walked away, forgotten them, built my empire alone, but that would have made me like them, someone who discards family when they're inconvenient." "So you forgave them?" "No. I gave them the opportunity to earn forgiveness. There's a difference. Forgiveness without change is just enabling. Accountability with opportunity is love." Jessica approached, her Mitchell Designs badge reading Director of Restoration. "The Times wants to interview me about my journey from MBA to mechanics," she said. "What should I tell them?" "The truth. That you were a spoiled brat who stole from your sister and found redemption under the hood of a car." She laughed. Real, not performative. "That's exactly what I'll say. So here I am, 3 years after my parents sold my dream car for my sister. The girl they called impractical now runs a company worth $200 million. The sister who got everything now works for everything. The parents who knew best now know better. The Shelby GT500 sits in my garage, Grandpa's final gift, the reminder that some things aren't for sale. The restored Mustang Jessica built lives at the center, teaching kids that broken doesn't mean worthless. My parents? They're good employees. Maybe one day they'll be good parents again, but that's their journey, not mine. Jessica sent me a photo yesterday, her hands still stained with oil, holding her first paycheck from a restoration she completed solo. The caption, "First money I've actually earned." I replied, "Now you understand." The lesson Grandpa taught me wasn't about cars or money or even family. It was about worth, not the kind others assign to you, but the kind you build yourself, one patient restoration at a time. If your family has ever made you feel less than, dismissed your dreams, or stolen your inheritance, literal or emotional, know this. Your worth isn't determined by their recognition. Your success doesn't require their approval. And your boundaries aren't cruel. They're necessary. Build something beautiful. Then decide who deserves to see it. That's what Grandpa Joe would say. That's what I'm saying to you now. Your dreams are valid. Your anger is justified. Your boundaries are healthy. And sometimes, the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's massive success achieved so quietly that when you finally reveal it, the only thing left to do is offer them a job. Trust me. I know. So I need to know, are you team forgiveness or team boundaries? Because both can coexist, but you have to choose which comes first. Drop a comment below with your choice and tell me why. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear that their impractical dreams are valid. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more stories about standing up to family expectations and building success on your own terms. Remember, you teach people how to treat you. Make sure the lesson is one you can live with. Until next time, keep building, keep boundaries, keep believing.